Are your PowerPoint presentations putting people to sleep? I'm going to show you how to quickly transform these with some really engaging animations that you can build in under 60 seconds. So let's jump in and take a look.
So the first thing that I want to show you is how we can use a kind of zooming in feature so that we can take something that might have a lot of complicated information and display it easily. So for example, here we started off by looking at a kind of the high level machine learning, then we wanted to drill into the unsupervised learning. Now, if you imagine if I had all of this information directly on the first slide, it would be really busy and complicated. So how do we achieve this? Now, let me explain how this feature works. It's actually a transition which does all of this for you. So it couldn't be any simpler for you to build. So starting off, we have an element on the page, and what we need to do, say for example, we wanted to make on the next slide this box to be much smaller and in the left-hand corner. All we would need to do is duplicate the slide, select the element and move it down into a corner and make it smaller like this. Then what we can do, if we select all the slides, so by clicking Control and then A, next to these slides, we can then click on Transitions, click on Morph, and then you can see it's automatically done that for me. Now, this will take into consideration anything else which is on that slide. It will change the size, the location of where the element is, the color, anything else you wanted to change about that particular piece. So let's go back to that example of where we've got a lot of information to share in our presentation. Again, we wouldn't want it to all be displayed on these kind of node areas of these boxes because it would be very complicated and confusing for the eye. So instead, we want to zoom in on the particular areas. To achieve this, again, we're going to duplicate this slide. And what we're then going to do is I'm going to zoom into this unsupervised learning area. So all I'm going to do is just delete all the other bits that I don't want. So I don't want the supervised learning area or the text for it. I don't want the reinforcement learning area or any of these bits. I'm just going to select all of those bits and delete them. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to select all of these and move them down here. The next thing I want to do, whilst I've got them all highlighted, is just make them bigger. So if I've got them all selected and I grab this corner piece here, I can make them all a lot bigger. Now this bit is going to be a little bit fiddly. So what I'm going to do is just show you how I might just reposition some of these, but then I'm going to go on pause in a second whilst I just get all the others realigned. So there we go. I'm just putting the final touches on it now, just to put these in the right order where I want them to sit on the page. And then it's just a case of moving the text to get it to sit where I want it to be. Remembering that anything that's going to be sort of cut off is not going to display. So I'm just going to move this machine learning over here. And there we go. Now we've got our kind of zoomed in. All we would then need to do is obviously insert any new text boxes that we wanted to have against each of these as labels of what else we wanted to display. So just imagine that's some sample text. And then again, all I need to do is select on these slides, select transition, click on morph, and then you can see that's how we zoom in. Now, what I would always recommend as well to give a really professional feel is have almost like your master slide, your starting point. Think of it in the journey of the animation. That's your starting point. I would then copy and paste that at the end. So that way, when you go into your PowerPoint presentation and you slide and you zoom into a particular area, when you then come out of this and go to your next slide, it will zoom back out and go back to the original look and feel of the slide. So then obviously we'd go into the next area and zoom in, it would come back to the middle, zoom to the next area, come back to the middle, and it just basically helps the storytelling part of the presentation.
So we've looked at how we can make a lot of complicated information easier to consume by zooming in. But how do we regain the attention of an audience? Now, I like to do this with some unexpected animation. Let's take a look.
A fantastic way to re-engage an audience is with some unexpected animation. I've often seen this used to win round a crowd maybe that is already getting a bit tired for a presentation, as it breaks the traditional way that a presentation is usually given. It usually might result in some smiles or even some laughs around the room if you can get the timing right. Now, it's really simple to do. All we need is a GIF image for our animation. And then we're going to duplicate our slide. And then on the first slide, we're going to paste in our image. And now it depends which way you want this to appear. If you want it to appear from below or appear from the side. But either way, say for example, if I want it to appear from below, I need to make sure that on the first slide that my image is just off screen at the bottom. And then on the second slide, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my image where I want it to sit on the page like so. And then again, all I need to do is make sure that the transition is applied, the morph transition is applied to all slides. And then what I'm going to do is show you what it looks like in presentation mode. Then I click on my next slide, and there we go. My little fox will then slide up and start its animation, and it's going to wink at the crowd for me, just to give me a little bit of extra kind of engagement.
I love quirky types of GIFs like that, and I find it really beneficial to a presentation as it gets people's engagement back. It makes them laugh and smile, and that usually smooths over things. Now, we've taken a look at how we can focus in on content by zooming in the previous examples, but I'm going to show you now how we can focus in on content whilst also keeping the other content on the page and just removing the focus from it so we can focus in on what we really are talking about at that point in time.
Another tip of when you're wanting to bring a focus onto a particular area of presentation is to not maybe hide it like we looked at when we were looking at that machine learning example at the beginning where we were hiding it off screen, but instead bringing the focus to a particular area, maybe of an image or a piece of information, by graying out or blurring the other information on the page to show what is really important. To do this, I'm going to start off with having an image on my slide. And then I'm going to duplicate that slide. Now, what I'm going to do is, you can see at the moment I've got one image, but I'm going to copy that and paste it. So I've now got two images which are overlaying each other. Almost like the first image, the background image, I'm going to select. I'm going to choose artistic effect. I'm going to use this gray kind of scale option here to gray everything out. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my top layer image over the top. And let's say, for example, what this will be is I'm introducing, say, the management team to our customers. And we're going to focus in on each of the individual managers. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to select this image. I'm going to crop it. So I'm going to crop this down to our first manager, like so. And what I could do is I could also choose to insert their name. So I'm going to use a text box, and I'm going to just put, for example, Jane Smith above her head, like so. And then what I'm going to do, remembering I'm going to actually duplicate the master slide for it to kind of transition back into the final kind of output. Then what I'm going to do is select all of the slides, click on transitions and then morph. And then what you'll see is when I go into this transition, it's then going to grey out everybody else and go to Jane Smith. And then it's going to go back to the original image. Let's do that for the next person as well. So I'm going to copy this slide. I'm going to move it down beneath this, and again what I'm going to do for the cropped image, I'm going to basically uncrop it like so. I'm going to move this to the next person in our team, so I'm just using that crop feature just to crop that image, and then I'm selecting the person's name. I'm going to change that name to say Ted Jones, like so. And let's do one more as well. So again, I'm just going to copy that image and put it next to it. Now, if you wanted almost like everything to sort of stay grey and have it almost like the bar moving across individually, then don't have this transitional slide. But I quite like it to fade back into colour before going back into the next slide. because it just makes it easier for people to understand what it is we're talking about, in my opinion. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this slide again. I'm just going to do this for the middle person. Again, select the image, crop, and I'm just going to take the crop back to this person, like so. Change the name again. This person can be Claire Smith. Leave it like that. And again, just make sure that transitions are applied, the morphs applied to all the slides. And then let's have a look at what this looks like in presentation mode. So we start off presentation and we can say, hey, this is our team. Please meet our head of marketing, Jane Smith. Then we're going to talk a bit about Ted Jones and his role as the technical director. And then we're going to move to our third person, which is Claire Smith, and what she does for operations. And that's a simple way of bringing focus to individuals within an image, but we could do this with text on the page as well. And it just really draws the eye away from the main focus of which is the team, and brings it to that specific individual, about making it about that particular employee.
So there you go. Now you've got everything you need to build your own animations and transform your boring PowerPoints into really engaging presentations. If you enjoyed the video, please do like the video, drop any questions you've got into the comments below, and if you need any professional assistance with any Microsoft product, please use the contact link in the description below or on the bio of my page to get in contact with me. And of course, subscribe to my channel for future content.